Hello there, everyone. It's nice to come back live. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about a subject I find most fascinating, which is tension. Tension. Are we experiencing major tension today? I think many of us are. You can experience it individually, you can experience it in your relationships, in your community, and also globally. So, how do we release this tension, and especially the tension that we have in our relationships? Where does that come from? So, think about the source of tension and where it really comes from. And oftentimes, tension is a sign. It's a sign that something's out of balance. And it comes from unresolved, unexpressed truths. Unresolved, unexpressed truths that we experience. So if you think about it, if you have tension in a relationship with someone, there is an unspoken truth that's there in the space between you. And so, how do you release that? And many of us know that the key to releasing that relationship tension is through healthy communication. But first, how do we get there? Because what can end up happening is that when we experience tension, which often comes through a trigger, somebody has said something or done something to activate my pain. So one of your friends, your coworkers has done or said something that now you don't feel good about it. And there is an imbalance that's there. The first thing is to become aware that I'm experiencing this tension and to become aware of the emotions and the feelings that you have. So if you don't even have an awareness of the emotions, what's going to happen is that will manifest as tension and perhaps resentment towards another person, but it'll also manifest as anxiety. And when we start to feel anxiety and stress as a result of experiencing tension, the tendency is to try to control the situation, either make the source of your tension leave, or you act out, and so somebody's triggered you and now you push back and you act out in the opposite direction. And so it can create more conflict. So think of tension, being some medicine towards healing. It's held energy that isn't being released. So if we have tension with another person, there's an unspoken truth, held energy that hasn't been released or expressed. We also experience tension within ourselves when we're not honest with ourselves, what we're really feeling, and we're not acting or expressing what's true for us. That can create tension. So think of how you really feel. So if you start to feel tension in your relationships or within yourself, to first become aware of your feelings and your deeper emotions. So when you start to go into the feeling, the pain usually, which is when this person does this, it makes me feel like this. It makes me feel angry. It makes me feel sad. And really start to go into those emotions, but also begin to investigate the thoughts and the story and the whole meaning and the energy that you're investing in. So go into the energy experience, because what you'll find is that when you go into that, you're also going to discover an energy wound that happened in your past. So there's also a parallel between your present moment tension in a relationship, and you'll start to find a parallel of that same tension in one of your primary relationships as a child. So that could be with a caregiver, your parents, your family, and the way your family members, the way you felt in your household. What was the energy experience for you growing up? And you'll begin to find these parallels of energy. So think of when we haven't resolved energy within ourselves, that we'll tend to draw these same kind of energy experiences back to ourselves over and over and over again, whether it's through our relationships, our romantic relationships, whether it's through food or money or work, whatever that might be. But we'll start to have an energy experience that might get repeated over and over again. And that's really your unconscious signaling to you through tension, pain, and suffering that something needs to be shifted. There needs to be a rebalance of energy. So when you go into the tension deeply, go into the source of tension and write about it. That's what I highly recommend, is writing about your experience of tension in your relationship and then finding another relationship in your past that it might have paralleled with, because that energy tension is within you. And once you start to resolve those deeper tensions and meanings and emotions, you'll be able to draw in a new energy experience. And you'll also begin to find the words and the truth that needs to be expressed in the relationship to bring healing and balance back into your connection. So we can experience tension in a relationship when we don't feel safe to express our truth. So we might not feel safe because when we speak our truth, we get met with anger, we get met with judgment, we get met with like pushback or punishment even. You know, if you speak your truth, then you're out of here, I'm leaving you. Right? We are not seen, we're not heard. So then we just start not expressing ourselves. We start shutting ourselves down. We become smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's how you know when you become so small, you become invisible, that this is a very toxic connection. There's dysfunction that's there that really needs to be looked at, and especially always within ourselves first, and how we've manifested or how we've been brought into a situation where speaking and expressing our truth and our authentic nature is wrong. So these are some tools that you can use. I highly recommend journaling and writing deeply about the tensions that you experience, and to remember that it's not just a bad thing. Even though we can experience physical, mental, emotional, energetic tension, it's really just a sign. It's a sign that there's something that needs greater awareness and healing inside of us. Awareness and healing inside of us that we have the power to change. So once you begin to start naming what that experience is, you can start to put your mind towards what it is that you really want to create and experience. So if you've been experiencing unhealthy relationships where you're not allowed to speak your truth or be yourself, now you're going to put your intention and your focus towards what it is you want to create. You know, what kind of relationships do you want to have? And to now imagine yourself and your energy participating in that experience. It's really an energetic experience. Our emotions, our thoughts, our beliefs, and the stories and the thoughts all create this energy experience. So it's about absorbing that energy experience into yourself and your consciousness through deep states of meditation and quiet that allow you to receive that more deeply. And that's how meditation is also healing, is that we become more attuned to health and what's healthy. And when we're attuned to what's healthy, we feel much more grounded, more peaceful. We feel like we've got the ground underneath our feet. I mean, how many of us grew up in households that were unstable or dysfunctional, or living in some form of group denial? So many people, and so many people have experienced various levels of abuse at home or growing up. And so a lot of our own, personal experience as we develop is to learn how to come to terms and learn how to connect to what's happened in the past and how it's driving the tensions in our present moment. So if there's tensions in your present life experience, take time to sit with that, to be with it, and meditate deeply on the nature of your relationships. Thanks so much for coming. I'm going to open up the comments. I just realized they don't keep them all the way open, so I have to open them consciously. Oops. If you're here, say hello. I'd love to hear from you or any questions that you have. It's really nice to see you live here. Was this helpful for you? And what would you like to hear about? I'd love to hear your thoughts about what you'd love to learn more about or to have me speak about as well. I'm not sure if this comment section, is this working? I'm just going to test this. Okay. Sometimes it takes a little while for those comments to flow through, but it is really good to see you. Thanks so much for coming. And hi, Sonia. It's nice to see you. Great. So let me know if you have any questions or even suggestions on things to talk about. There's so much happening in the world. It's so important to have a strong practice right now. I don't know how people do it without a practice. I could definitely see how easy it would be to feel a lot more angst and anxiety with what's happening. So learning how to find a strong, calm, grounded center is so important, and practicing every day, I find. And I'll be trying to come on live as much as possible. So I wish you all a really beautiful, lovely rest of your day. Blessings.